शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम आप्यायन्तु ममांगानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमतो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। So in the previous classes, the Acharya introduces three different types of upasana. So the 4.4, section 4.4 or page number 28, he talks about the Adidhaiva Upasanam or Upasanam, which is meditating on the act of God. In that he gave two examples. Vidyut, and the second one was the winking of the eye. So two things were given here. So the lightning, when it strikes, it is very brief. It's very fast. It doesn't stay for even not even a second or even microsecond also. Sometimes when you see the lightning strikes, we know that the lightning strikes because a streak of light just comes and goes. The strike of the lightning and the brilliance is non-separate, correct? The act of lightning which is coming and the brilliance, which is the shining of the illumination, they are non-separate. We cannot say that the brilliance comes after lightning comes, correct? Lightning and brilliance are simultaneous. They happen together. So in the same way, the thoughts, which is the winking of the eye also, is instantaneous. So when we wink the eye, the particular world is not there for us recognition, correct? For the brief moment of time, the world is not there and is also there. So that's what it says here, that you have to meditate on this aspect. The example given is just that, for us to meditate, for Saguna Brahma Upasana. That's what it says here was. So Vidyut is the one which is prescribed in the first section, 4.4. And it is called Adidhaivatam, which we saw. So Yami Mishada. So Yami Mishada is the winking of the eye, and Vidyut is also referred as the lightning. So these two are given as an example for the person who cannot meditate on the Swarupam of one's own self. See, this Upasanam is prescribed not for the person who is already ready or the person who already achieved that level of knowledge where he doesn't have to meditate on these kind of things. The author here introduces this Upasanam because later on, after listening to the whole Upanishad and whole teaching, one student gets up and says, so far you have taught us all these things, but what does the Upanishad say? What does the Upanishad say? This is asking. So can you tell us what Upanishad say about this one? So the Guru says, I have been talking only about Upanishad. I am not talking about anything else. So whatever I have been talking about, because he's been listening about all these things. He is listening to all these stories, all the Indra coming there, Varuna coming, Agni coming there, Vayu coming there. So he got digressed. So now the story aspect is interesting for the person. So when the story is taken seriously, then the Vishayam is left out. Correct. So one has to, the story is given for what? As a Anumana, for only for understanding purpose only. Through the story, one has to arrive at the truth. And the truth is actually forgotten because the student is very focused on the aspects of this. That is why here he doesn't indicate that it is actually for Manda Buddhinaha. So Manda Buddhina means the people who are not limited in knowledge or limited in terms of understanding. So it's called Manda Buddhinaha. So for those people who are not ready yet, or those people who are finding difficulty in understanding what is said in the Upanishad, which is cryptic, for those people, he proposes 3 different types of upasana. And each of the upasana will bring the person some benefit or the other. So the first we saw was the Adidhaiva Upasanam or Adidhaiva Brahma Upasanam. So Brahma Upasanam here talks about Saguna Brahma Upasanam because the Vidyut or the lightning which is talked about is also outside of you. It is also a characteristics or a feature of this consciousness which is flashing like billions of light. The thought, which is also the winking of the eye, also is also to be meditated as the aspect of the Saguna Brahma. Okay, so winking is not possible without the presence of the mind. So mind has to be there for the winking to be present. And for the mind to be active, the consciousness has to be present. So because this person cannot reach up to that level, he's saying that when you wink of the eye, you think it is an act of God. It is Bhagavan, Ishvara, Saguna Brahma Ishvara. That's how you meditate. So first level of meditation is this, and you have to focus on this. Then in 4.4 actually continues. Actually, we saw up to 28. Then 4.4 continues. Page number 29. He just examples gives Yatha Sakrit Vidyutham. So that means just as this lightning, sudden, Sakrit means what? Sudden. So this lightning comes suddenly. It doesn't come pre-planned. So Vidyutam, lightning. Iti Shruti Antarecha Darshanat. So this is a quotation from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Iti Shruti Antarecha Darshanat. So here the example is Yatha Maharajanam Vasaha. So Maharajanam means it's actually a dyed cloth, like a cloth which is dyed with turmeric. So turmeric, when you dye it, right, the color of the cloth and the color is non-separate. The turmeric becomes one with the cloth. So whenever you see the cloth, you see the turmeric also, correct? You do not see the turmeric separately and you do not see the cloth separately. You see them together. That's why you call it a yellow cloth. Same way here also, Yata Pandu Avikam. So the wool of the sheep. So the sheep has got wool. So there are examples. Whenever, what it says here, whenever you see this wool of the sheep, you see the sheep. You do not see it separately. You don't see the wool separately, sheep separately. You do not see the cloth separately and the turmeric separately. They both come together. Then Yata Agni Archihi. So just as Agni, you see the tongue of the fire. So the tongue of the fire and Agni is not separate. So when you see the tongue of the fire, you see Agni. Right? The same way, Yata Sakrut Vidyutham. So just as you see Yata Agni Archihi, Yata Maharajanam Vasaha, which is the dyed cloth with turmeric, Yata Pandu Avikam, just as you see a sheep with wool, the sheep and the wool is not separate. The same way, Yata Sakrut Vidyutam. So Vidyutam means lightning also is, yes.
Where is it written about the sheep? Which line are you teaching?
It is not there. It is actually an example I'm giving.
I'm searching and searching.
No, it is not there because this example I'm, see, Upamanam. So Upamanam means our example. See,
Okay, that's the first line you're continuing, no?
yeah, Yata Sakrut Vidyutam,
Okay.
correct. That's the, for that example is like, I gave an example like a turmeric cloth. Like, if you dip a cloth in turmeric, dyed cloth, and you take the white cloth out, it becomes colorful. So when you see the cloth now, you do not see the color separately and the cloth separately, you see together. So likewise, the lightning which you see and the brilliance you see, they are together. So which comes first, which comes last should not be taken. It is to be taken together. So when you meditate, that lightning, that is, the thought comes, thought is the same thing, right? So thought, object does not come later on. Thought and objects, they are coming together, correct? There is no immediate, there's a gap. You cannot say, let the thought come first, then thought sit there for some time, then the object comes into, no. Object comes into existence instantly as the thought comes, correct? The same way lightning also comes, light also comes immediately. Same way here also is Yatha Sakrud Vidyut. Sakrud means that sudden flashing of the light of should be taken as lightning and that should be meditated upon. Just as the Nimeshaha. So when we wink also, the winking of the eye, the universe is not appearing. When you open the eye, everything visible. It's instantaneous. So the example given is for the people who cannot meditate on the Saguna Brahma or Nirguna Brahma. So Nirguna Brahma, because for them, you'll have to meditate on the abstract, how is possible. So it proposes some method for the people who are on the path of systematic study. For them, Saguna Brahma Upasanam is talked about. So Adidaiva Upasanam is being talked about here. And he quotes from this Upanishad called Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Yata Sakrut Vidyutam iti Shruti Antarecha Darshanat. So in this Upanishad, we see this example given also. Then Vidyut Iva Hi Sakrut Atmanam Darshayitva Tirobhutam Brahma Devebhyaha. So this example of Vidyut Iva, which is Sakrut Atmanam, or the act of flashing once. The act of flashing once. See, lightning does not keep on flashing all the time. It's not a continuous stick of light. It flashes, goes. After some time again, it flashes, goes. And it is always, discontinuous. It is not consistent. That's why it's here, Sakrut Atmanam. We do not know when the lightning will come. Same way, we do not know when Jnana will come. We do not know when thoughts will come. So this is the same thing as whenever the thought rises, object is seen, you meditate on the object as the source of the object is actually my thought. And the source of the thought is my mind. And the source of the mind is the consciousness. That is how you have to arrive at it finally. But because the person cannot arrive at this whole things, he says first you do this. Right. So Darshayitva, so example is shown here. Darshayitva, Tirobhutam Brahma Devebhyaha. So Tirobhutam means the disappearance or the appearance and disappearance of this Yaksha. When the Devas came, also was instantaneous. They saw and didn't see him. So there was not a time lag when they were asking, they're seeing him go. It just came just like that and just went. And because of that flashing, or because of that particular, instantaneous view, they were curious to know what happened. So that is why they want to know who it was. So who the lightning is, what the thought is, and what this yaksha is. So the example is given there for meditation. So Vidyut Ivahi Sakrut Atmanam Darshayitva Tirobhutam Brahma Devebhyaha. Athva, otherwise, Otherwise, what you should do? Vidyutaha tejaha. So the light, the tejas means what? The light, the brilliance. And vidyutaha means the brilliance of the lightning. Ityad aharyam. So to be taken as incidental. So aharyam means incidental. So same thing it says here. So athva, the light of the lightning should be taken as effulgence of the yaksha. So he compares the yaksha appearance and disappearing towards as the appearing of the lightning and disappearing of the lightning. So vyadutad vidyoti davat iva. Means what? Okay. So understand. 3 times say. It means what? Oh, I have to meditate like this. So it's this. So comparable. Iva means it is comparable to the lightning, should be comparable to the disappearance of the yaksha. Then vidyutaha tejaha. So the lightning and the brilliance in the lightning, tejaha, sakrid, which is very, very fast and sudden. Vidyut tatvad iva iti abhiprayaha. So vidyoti tadvat iva iti abhiprayaha. Should break it as what? As vidyut tatvad iva iti abhiprayaha. So abhipraya means this is the opinion that this brilliance of the lightning should be taken as the Tirobhutam Brahma Devebhyaha. Iti Shabdaha Adesha Pratinirdesanartham. So, through the words of the Upanishad, Shabdaha, this is establishing the fact. So, Pratinirdesanartham, Nirdeshanam means establishment, establishing the fact that the flashing of the lightning should be taken as the appearance and disappearance of the yaksha. The winking of the eye should be taken as the Saguna Brahma Upasanam. So he gives examples. Okay. Then Ityaya Madesha iti. Ityaya Madesha iti man iti ayam adeshaha. Iti ayam adeshaha. So adesha means order. It is actually a suggestion. This is the opinion. Adeshaha. So you must take it in this manner that this is what I am. Iti ayam adeshaha. It shabdaha samuchaya arthaha. Means this is the in samuchaya means what? The combination. So you have to take the combination of all of them. So lightning, brilliance, then the winking of the eye should be taken as the example also, and then the yaksha also taken. So you have to do all these things combination together. So like if you know in the Dehi Mahatmyam, depending on what the person meditates on, you will get it. So if you look at right now, Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Matrurupena Samstita Namastasyai 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 Namo Namaha. Then Shraddha Rupena Samstita, Jati Rupena Samstita, Chaya Rupena Samstita. Correct. All of them are given there. So what it means what? Whenever you see Shraddha, you meditate on that Shakti as Shraddha. When you see Jati, you see meditate on that. When you say Chiti Rupena, so as consciousness. So different types of examples are given for the Upasaka to meditate on the happening of the event. Correct? That's what it says here. So in this example, he is using the example of Vidyut and Nimeshaha and Tirobhutam, this Yaksha. Ayam cha apara tasya adeshaha. Then ko asau, so kaha asau yami mishat. So yami mishat also is called winking of the eye. So he repeats the same thing. He says here that this is the winking of the eye should be taken as the winking of the eye, the lightning, and the yaksha should be taken samuchaya arthaha. All these combinations should be taken as combination together. You must not take it separately, saying that lightning is separate and the brilliance is separate. You must not take that the winking is separate and the object seen is separate. You must not take the thought is separate and the objective is separate. So they all happen together. It's called samuchayam. So the combination. So it happens together. Samuchaya arthaha. See, ita shabda samuchaya arthaha ayam cha apartasya adeshaha kaha asau nyami mishat yatha chakshuhu. So chakshuhu means what? Just as eyes. Nyami mishad opens. Nyami mishad nimesham kritavat. So nimeshati unmeshati. So nimeshati means what? Opens. So the eyelid opens. And then unmeshati means what? The closing. So opening and closing. So upward movement, see the eyelids move up and down, correct? So upward movement and downward movement is talks about as Nyami Mishad and Unmeshati, Kritavat. So Kritavat means the act of opening and closing of the eyelid. And he says what? Chakshuhu, the eyes. Because the winking is connected to the eye. So when the winking happens, the eyelids move up and down, correct? And when the eyelid close, the object is not seen. The object is not seen at all. When the eyes are open, the object is seen. So thoughts rise, objects are seen. Thoughts are not there, object cannot be seen or cannot be understood. So he says, whenever the thought rises, you think of it as the manifestation of knowledge. Whenever the lightning comes, the brilliance you see is manifestation of that Brahman. Whenever the winking of the eye, same example is given. So he says you have to meditate on this. So he gives example of how to meditate, what are the things you should do to focus. Then Swarte Nicha means this is only for one's understanding only. So you cannot go and explain to somebody saying that, oh, Upanishad says that you meditate on this. It is for one's understanding only. So when a person knows what it means, you do not go and discuss, you do not go and explain other people, oh, this Upanishad talks like this. So the lightning has to be meditated like this. It is for one understanding, not for discussion. Right? So that's what it says here. Swa artaha, swarte nicha. Then upamartha eva akaraha. Chakshusho vishayam prati prakasha tirobhava iva chet artaha. So chakshusho vishayam. So the eyes, vishayam prati means towards the object. So vishayam prati. So the eyes which are moving towards the object. Prakasha tirobhutam. So the light does not reach. So prakasha tirubhutam, tirubhava means the light does not reach when the eyes are closed. For the light to travel, eyes has to be there. Light will be there internally. The power of seeing is there. But the power of seeing has to be there for the person. The chakshu also should be there. Eye should be there. If the eye is not there, it's not functional at all, then it is no point in having an eye. The light cannot travel. Just as light cannot travel in a very dark room. So if you have a completely dark room and you close all the windows, light cannot enter. But even if it's a small aperture there, light can penetrate through. That's what it says here. That chakshusho vishayam prati prakasha tirobhava ichet artaha. So iti atidaivatam devata vishayam brahmana upamana darshanam. So this is the example of the adidaivatam devata vishayam. So the devata vishayam means what? The flashing of the yaksha which came and disappeared is of the nature of adidaivatam devata vishayam. So because devatas were involved in this, and brahmana upamana darshanam. So this darshanam should be seen as the example of, in this way, that it was a saguna brahma which came and disappeared. Because nirguna brahma does not come and does not go. Right? See, nirguna brahma does not come and does not go. So whenever anything which is coming and going, it is actually not, it's only manifestation of knowledge. It's only manifestation of a particular consciousness. Is it clear so far? Are you able to follow? See, this...
No, I'm not able to.
Okay.
It's a bit too... Can you summarize this portion alone?
Okay. See, so I'll summarize this. Basically, the whole commentary is very simple. Only three things are talked about here. The first time when the whole story talks about when the yaksha came and disappeared, correct? So the devatas were all sitting in the Indraloka, and they all saw this billions of light coming and disappearing. And for the moment, they were wondering as to what who light was, because it was not continuous. So they were not able to understand whether it is some enemy or some other aspect of it. So then later on, when they went and talked to Uma and everybody else, they understood that this actually is Saguna Brahma, which appeared in the form of the light of this yaksha. So thereby, because of that, now he is introducing the upasana for meditation for the people who cannot comprehend the act of consciousness, or the consciousness cannot be meditated upon, because it is not an object of knowledge. Consciousness cannot be meditated upon because it is not something to be known. You are Swayam consciousness. So there's nothing to be meditated upon. But still people say that I want to meditate upon this Brahman. So that Brahman is actually nothing but Saguna Brahman only. So you can meditate only on Sagunam, not on Nirgunam. So Nirgunam means what? It's actually, there's no meditation activity being done there. So meditation is an activity, is a karma, it's an action. Whereas in Nirguna Brahman, contemplation is there, though there is no action required. So you are just by yourself, there's no need to see anything, not to discuss anything. So it's only you are always in meditation. So you're not doing meditation. Here it says that for the people who are not ready, then they prescribe this method of meditation called Adidaiva Upasana. So where we talked about three things. The flashing of the lightning should be compared or should be taken together as the brilliance of the lightning also. So the light and the act of lightning are non-separate. Number one. Correct. Because when the lightning comes, brilliance also comes along with that. There is no time lag between the lightning striking and light coming. Correct. Likewise, the winking of the eye, which is nimishaha, the winking of the eye and the object appearing and disappearing is instantaneous. There is no difference, there is no time lag. You cannot say that when I close my eyes, after some 1 minute or so, 1 second, the object is not there. The moment you momentarily you flick your eyes, for that particular moment, the screen is blank. Correct. So that's what it says here, that whenever these things happen, you understand that this actually Saguna Brahma. So the object you're meditating is Saguna Brahma. So the example is given like this. Same way compares to saying that just as the Yaksha came and disappeared, also is Saguna Brahma. Right? And he says this is only for the understanding only. So the commentary is given because he's given all Nimeshati, Unmeshati, it's all grammar. So Nimeshati means opening, Unmeshati, closing of the eyes, and twinkling of the eyes. They're all Upamartham eva akaraha. So they are all only forms, they are only ways of explaining, and that's what it is. So in summary, this is what it is. The detailed Bhashyam, Shankara likes to write all these commentaries in detail because the Bhashyam is like this. I do not know why he writes like this. I was taught like this. So I'm teaching you like this. Correct. But if summary is like this, very simple summary, that object light cannot reach the object when the power behind is not ready. So when the object is seen, light is also instantaneous. So light and the object is non-separate. That's what it says here. Right? So Chakshusho Vishayam Prati Prakasha Tirobhava iti Chet Artaha. So that completes that 4.4. So 4.4 is simple. These three things are understood. That's all it is. Then 4.5. 4.5 talks about the Adhyatma Brahma Upasanam. So here, see in the first section, we talked about the lightning, we talked about the winking of the eye, which is external to you, correct? So they are all external to you, the winking of the eye. Because winking of the eye is something everybody can know. You wink, I wink, everybody winks, and nobody can say that I don't wink at all. So you have this act which is consistently happening every time. In this case, he says now, Adhyatma Upasanam, he takes the student from that level to one level closer, where the very thought is taken as the object of meditation. So when I say I am winking, right? What is when I am winking? What it is a vritti, correct? It is a vritti, a thought. Is right? So when I say I am winking means what? Winking is actually an expression of thought. There's a vritti rising there that I am winking. You are able to follow, Jay? No?
I don't know where
No,
the purport of this thing is not clear.
See, only the purpose of this Upasanam is for the people who cannot meditate on the Nirguna Brahma Upasanam. For them, the Saguna Brahma Upasanam is proposed. I
am that category. I'm far below Nirguna Brahma Upasana.
No, that is why what it's it's nothing to do with that. What it says here that for arriving at Nirgunam, first of all you have to arrive at Sagunam. So the first effort should be that one has to do Saguna Brahma Upasanam first. So he gives example that anything external, he gives them two examples. He gives lightning's example, winking of the example, correct? There are many things which are happening there. Correct? All of these things, anything which is heard, Shabda Anuvita Savikal Samadhi, Drishya Anuvita Samadhi, all these things should remember. See, Drigdishya Viveka should be there. So, Adalapadi, see, he talks about only Chakshu, but here he talks about what Shabdam. So Shabdam also is also through which knowledge appears. Right? So the sound which is traveling, which you hear, is instantaneous. Correct? There's no difference between the sound and the ear in the distance. Correct? It's immediate. Sound does not first come and then the ear comes later on. The hearing power and the sound are connected together. So he just gives example of only Vidyut here. But we must expand the vision to say that anything which sense of touch, sense of seeing, sense of power, sense of smell, taste, all of them which are there, they are all instantaneous. Like if you have to scratch, right? So when you scratch it, you immediately feel the pain, correct? When you pinch somebody, you feel the pain immediately, correct? So the pinching of the action and the pain is non-separate. There's no difference. You cannot say that I'll first pinch and then the pain will come later. You'll immediately get it, correct? So that is what it says here, that anything, you'll expand that activity of any action you do or anything which you see here, etc., is this act of Daivatam, Adidaivika. You got it now? Not yet.
I'm talking about 4.5.
4.5 is a different section. I'm talking about the 4.4. You got the 4.
Oh, okay. I thought you started 4.5.
No. 4.5 I have started. See, 4.4, Adidaivatam.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is Atadhyatmam Edetat. That's what you started, isn't it? Page 31.
I started 4.4. I completed page number 28, 29. See, last time you come up to page 28, we finished tomorrow, right? 28, end of the page.
28, I know that you finished, yes.
29, I continued the same mantra, I continued more elaboration. That's all.
Yes, that I understand.
Right. So 29 only I'm talking about. I'm not going to 4.5 yet. Because you say you don't understand what it talks about. What it says here, that first Saguna Brahma Upasana means Adidaivikam. So Daivikam means what? An act of God. Correct? So we've got 3 types of hindrances, correct? Adidaivikam, Adibhautikam, Adhyatmakam, correct? So that tapaha, tapatrayaha, correct? We know that, correct?
Yes.
So Adidaivikam also the same way. So what it says here, that any act of God, anything which is external to you, you meditate on as an object of as Saguna Brahma. So first of all, you have to meditate Saguna Brahma, then only you can actually understand what is Saguna Brahma. From Sagunam, you can go to Nirgunam. You cannot directly go to Nirgunam because you do not understand what Sagunam is. So it is called in Ekarupa Dhyanam, Anekarupa Dhyanam, Arupa Dhyanam. I hope you remember, right? In Dirghashiveka. So Ekarupa Dhyana means that you and the object are connected together. So whenever you see an object, you understand it is actually me and the object. So the object is part of the universe and I am actually worshipping that object as Saguna Brahmapasana. One first level Saguna Brahmapasana. The second level of Saguna Brahmapasana means where you now remove the oneness and then now include all the objects in the universe and bring it as Upasana. So here he talks about one example. But what we should understand is expand the vision of lighting and the winking to all other aspects. So anything which is a phenomenon happening there is because of this Ishvara. This is what is to be understood. Then in 4.5, he now brings us closer to saying that this phenomenon is possible because you have to now meditate on the very source of that particular knowledge manifestation. So knowledge is manifest, correct? So first knowledge is manifest as the external object. And you say that the external object is Saguna Brahma, I'm meditating on that, I'm meditating Krishna, Rama, whatever it is there, your puja, even any mantra also is meditation. Any chanting, anything you do, grammar you teach, you write is also meditation. But the source of that is what you have to understand, right? Because that is not the truth. There is something behind that which is making you do that activity, which is making you do that particular meditation activity, correct? So now he says that is Adhyatma. So he brings us one step closer to saying that from there, you shift your attention now to the source of that particular phenomenon called lightning, or phenomenon called winking, or phenomenon called hearing, touch, all the smell, etc. So what is that? It is actually the thought, right? Now you are able to get it?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Uma, you are able to follow, right? Uma, she has been there for many years. think she's been about six years now. She's had me talk so many things about probably. Okay. But it's okay. I mean, see, I mean, Jay, when I first learned it, I also had the same issues because it is very difficult to contemplate something, just to say, oh, meditate on this. How do you meditate on so many things? So you have to first narrow it on one thing, correct? See, take everything as Ishvara. Okay, Ellame Ishvara na, enga da Ishvara, Ellame Ishvara. So I see so many things, right? But for you to first narrow, you have to first bring it to focus on one thing. So let me focus on one thing first. So you take one object, meditate on that, understand it fully, and assume that it's actually the act of God, and it is actually Sagunam Brahma. Then once you're really comfortable with that particular process, then you move one step forward, one step backward, or forward. It means going backward from the source. Then you understand, okay, this particular object of knowledge which I'm seeing, what is the source of this knowledge? Who is the person behind giving this knowledge? Or how does this knowledge manifest? Right? That is what is your interest, correct? First of all, முதல்ல வந்து எல்லாருக்குமே அப்படிதான் இருக்கும், பிரச்சனையா இருக்கும், கரெக்டா? அதுவே concentration difficult இருக்கும், because very difficult to focus on this kind of thing. Then imagine that, then now you see the object also, you see the vision also, then you also try to understand the source of that. So it's called Adhyatmam. So he says, now the author brings us close to the thought process. The thought is the one which is driving or the source of the manifestation of knowledge, right? Thought. So the very thought, Adhyatmam means, Adhyatmam Upasana means, the very thought itself is taken as the object of meditation. So in the Adidaiva Upasanam, the object of meditation is a symbol, okay, or something that is perceived outside. Okay? Adidaivam is equal to meditation of an object is outside of you, always. In Adhyatmam, the meditation is inside of you. Okay. So thought itself, in Adhyatma Upasanam, the thought itself is meditated internally, and the object is now not seen outside. Okay, so the lightning also is inside you. So now when you see the lightning also, you do not say, oh, lightning. Because you see the lightning, yes. Nobody can say that I don't see lightning. You cannot say this. But what they say, oh, lightning. The lightning is because of what? Because my thought is there, my vrittis are there, that's why lightning is there. If my thought is not there, lightning is also not there for me. If you are asleep, or if you are totally fast asleep, no vrittis are there. Is there lightning for you? No lightning. Is there winking for you? No winking. Is there any pain for you? No pain. Sense of touch, nothing. Sense of hearing, sense of smell, nothing is there. Right? So what is the source of that? The source of that is the vritti, correct? Thoughts. And thoughts is the only one which is responsible for giving that life to the Adidaivikam, right? So you have to come one step closer. Okay, that's what he's saying here. Okay, first you do this, then you go back one step. Okay. So the alambanam here, or the altar, alambanam means altar, is different, but it's still sagunam. See, it is still sagunam because it is still an object. See, thought also is what? Is vritti, correct? Vritti is what is also a manifestation of knowledge. And lightning also is what is manifestation of that Sagunam Brahman as knowledge. So both are Sagunam only. This is not Nirgunam. But because you are now meditating on the source of the thought, which is called Chidabhasaha. I think you know the word Chidabhasa, right? So Chidabhasa. So Chid Abhasaha means that which is the thought which is arising in the mind, which gets illumined due to the mind getting light. So the mind is lighting up, the mind lightens up, thoughts rise. And in the wake of the thoughts, the object is seen. So the thought itself is now taken. So the very source of the object which is just seen outside is because of thoughts. Vrittis are there. If no vrittis are there, no thoughts, no objects are there. Correct. So the same vritti or the cognition is now taken as a source of meditation. This is called Adhyatma Brahma Upasanam. Or also called Pratyaghatma Brahma Upasanam. Another word is called what? Pratyaghatma Brahma Upasanam. So Pratyak means inside. Pratyak Atma Brahma Upasanam. So Brahma Upasanam, when you say itself, it must have Brahma. Right? So Pratyaghatma Brahma Upasanam. Because what you are now meditating on is the I thought. The I thought which is there, right? So the I thought is the one which you are meditating on now. So now the author is trying to say that, okay, you meditate on the thought, the I thought. So the I thought is what is present because of the consciousness. I also is what is Ahankara. I also is an Ahankara, correct? So the I also finally has to be resolved in consciousness. Therefore, there is no more thing called I. The innermost essence of the I doesn't have anything called I at all. I is also a title. When I say I means it has got some qualification. So say I am so and so. So I also has to be resolved. So he is taking one step closer to saying that you meditate on the I thought now. The I thought is the one which is saying that I see lightning. I am winking. I am hearing. I am touching. I am feeling. Correct? All these things are what now the I is the one which lends existence to the other actions. Correct? So without the I being there, the other things cannot come into existence on their own. So now the author said, oh, first you go and see this, meditate on that. Now you understand that without those objects don't have existence independently outside of the I being there, thought being there. So now you come to meditate on the thought. You feel you're getting comfortable now, Jay? Okay. So Adhyatmam yad etat gacchati iva cha mano anena. So Adhyatmam Athadhyatmam yat etat gacchati iva cha mano anena chetad upasmarati abhikshana sankalpaha. So you just break the sentences, then I will complete this. So Athadhyatmam yad etat gacchati iva cha manaha anena cha etad upasmarati abhikshanam sankalpaha. Okay. So that's one word, that's one sentence. So Adhyat
etad upasmarati abhikshana.
Correct. That's what I said. Upasmarati abhikshana sankalpaha. So manaha anena chaitad upasmarati abhikshana sankalpaha. So Adhyatmam, when I say here, that it talks about the internal. Adhyatmam. Right. So Adhyatmam means that which is internal to you, that which is part of you. It is not outside of you anymore now. Now you are focusing on Adhyatmam. Gacchati iva. So what does go? Manaha. So the mind goes, right? So the mind is the one, anena. So what does it do? The mind actually brings together many things. Like it doesn't have one particular thing. So all the objects are coming and going, all thoughts are rising and going, and the thoughts are continuous, right? So it is something not very, like when you're awake right now, you will have thoughts which are continuous thoughts coming, continuous thoughts. There's no break in thoughts. Whether you're listening to the class, whether you are assimilating something, or you're writing notes, or you are making something else happening in your surroundings, you hearing things, smelling things, touching things, everything is possible. And they are all happening continuously. All these are happening because of the mind lending existence to thought. Right? So I say manaha anena. Then upasmarati means here the person meditates, or upasmarati upasate. So upasmarati means remembers or meditates, right? And abhikshana means perpetually. Abhikshana means perpetually, frequently, constantly, repeatedly. 4 words. So abhikshana means what a person consistently meditates, consistently thinks. So whenever the thought is rising, the thought which is rising, the person always meditates on the thought itself. Oh, I've got a thought now. So the thought itself is what? Thought itself is the representation of the mind, correct? The mind is the one which is illumining the thought. So we are not even gone to the mind yet. So now we are only in thought, because first of all, objects outside are illumined by to be meditated, correct? As the person, as a knower, as you. Then you come to the source of the object itself. The object itself is illumined by the thought, and the thought itself is illumined by the mind, and the mind is capable of producing different types of thoughts. Right? Manaha anena upasate abhikshana. That means you meditate on this object or this thought continuously. So you close your eyes. So when you meditate, what happens? You close your eyes, all sorts of things. Bad thoughts come, good thoughts come. Coffee thought will come, tiredness thought will come, sleep thought will come. Upanishad talk also will come, depending on what it is. So all these thoughts will come and go. But you as a person, you don't go anywhere and you just meditate on the thought itself. Correct? And the thoughts is what? Repeatedly, consistently, continuously, if you keep thinking about it, then it becomes a practice. Correct? It becomes an upasana. See, what is upasana? Upasana is a method of meditation. It is meditation. And meditating requires what? Is constantly. You cannot meditate just today, 3 hours today. Some people, they do. Today I'm going to meditate for 1 hour a day. I'm going to do this. So about 1 hour. And then after 1 week, they'll do a meditation at all. They'll be forgetting. Oh, I totally forgot about it. Again, let me go and sit. No. He doesn't talk. He says here, abhikshana means systematically sitting, meditating, systematically analyzing the thought. Perpetually analyzing. That means always analyzing till you go to sleep. If you're fast asleep, you cannot do anything about it because the manifesting medium is not there. But as long as you are awake, as long as you are there, just like the blood flows in the body, right? The blood doesn't stop, doesn't stop. The blood stops, what does it? You will not be able to function. So the blood stops continuously throughout the body, perpetually, frequently, regularly, correct? And that is the one which illumines or shines, make the body shine. The same way, the thoughts which are illumining the objects, the thoughts which is illumining all the external objects also has to be running continuously, and it has to be analyzed in this manner, to be meditated upon as the representation of the universe. Got it? So first is to look at the objects outside. They are all objects of knowledge. I'm able to understand what it is. Next is to understand the source of the object itself. That this object will not be there when my thought is not there. So thought is important. Thought precedes objective knowledge, correct? That's what it says here. So, abhiksham sankalpaha. Sankalpa means what? That you have taken a sankalpa. You have taken a now wow. That see now I'm going to do adhyatma upasana, brahma upasana. That means what? I'm going to meditate on the source of all this objective universe. And the objective universe is none other than my thoughts. So my vrittis are the one which lends existence to the objects of knowledge. Therefore, I'm going to spend my time on analyzing the vrittis and just be focusing internally, not externally. So you close your eyes, you bring the object of knowledge into your mind now. So the Krishna which you are meditating as an object there is now transformed from the object into your mind. So now you are able to meditate without Krishna temple being there. Otherwise, what will happen? Puja room mood. Some people will say, if I only go and sit in the puja room, then only all my mood comes. If I'm out of the puja room, see, many people have come and told me, Adanamo sir, chanting, if I don't chant loudly, I cannot meditate. I keep telling them, like, when you are able to chant, you should be able to chant mentally also. You must be able to chant mentally without speaking words. It is possible that, all the suktams can run in your mind, Rudram can run in your mind without you having to chant loudly. Because that is the first step, is to chant loudly, externally, so that you're comfortable with the way of chanting and everything else. Later on, the chanting should become internal. Correct? That is same example is given here. So external first is important, then internal is important. Internalizing. So when you internalize it, then you don't need books. You do not need place. You are devoid of objects. You're devoid of time. You're devoid of time, of space. Correct? So trikala abhaditam. Correct? So you are already free from time limitation, space limitation, object limitations. Right? That is what is important. So author is taking step by step, saying that this is required for a person who is not ready. He says, people who are not ready yet, for them, this is the method of meditation, that you first externalize it, then internalize it. Then internalizing should be for a very, very long time till you are comfortable that you don't need the object outside. Sometimes we feel the object outside. Sometimes, oh my God, you are still here. Oh, it doesn't matter. Sometimes blank space will be there. Room supposing a blank room, you are sitting alone there. No photo is there. No books are there. Can you sit and meditate? You should be able to. In that case, what do you internalize all the learning which you have done, right? And then you meditate on the words Shabda. So Shabda Anuvit Savikalpa Samadhi. Right? So Shabdam comes and then you internalize it and then you chant it. That's what it says here. That Athadhyatmam yat etad gacchati iva. Means just like it just goes. Mano anena Chaitad upasmarati abhikshanam sankalpaha. So you have to meditate on this aspect continuously. Right? And it's also called Pratyegatma Brahma Upasana. It's called Pratyegatma Brahma Upasana. So we'll look at the Bhashyam in the next class. The Bhashyam is a little bit same thing. I'll explain to you the summary first, then we'll read the Bhashyam. It's easy to understand it. Are you comfortable now, Jay? Unmute.
Yes. Yeah.
See, initially when I
There
started,
is some logic.
correct.
I'm able to follow the logic now.
Correct. See, the logic in the assuming you're starting a study, supposing anybody who starts the study Vedanta, even if it's an advanced student, also 3 years, 4 years, initially the concept will be always to look for object outside, meditate. There has to be something because you feel uncomfortable just saying that, okay, Ninga, you who am I? So if somebody says Nan yar answer. Naan yarna naane theriyadu yarnu theriyadu. And the source, yaar, how will you get the answer? You will keep checking, nanyar. You will not know the answer. It is good for the people who have already understood nanyar, they understand what it is. But when you are teaching somebody, you have to say what is nan, what is yar, and what is the connection between nan and yar. What is the source of the nan, what is the source of yar also. In reality, both of them are only one. So this is how Padi explains now. So it is very difficult for any person to visualize it. That's why he says here, first you go and see this, whenever you see the object happening there, see miracle pakara, experience pakara. And the experience of whatever is happening there, it is actually adi daivikam. See, it is happening. It is not unreal. It is something real, but is also happening in the mithya world. It is not going to happen again and again, same time. Lightning will not come again and again, same time, in the same order also, same intensity also, correct? It is fluctuating. So when you fluctuate, what do you mean? That is not Shashvatamilla, correct? So that's what author first says. You first go and experience it. All those things you enjoy first, you meditate on that. Then once you're comfortable with that, you are able to sit for a long time, you're able to understand all these things. Then you slowly step back. Now you come to the source of the object itself. Then he says, now you talk about vritti, thoughts. So he takes thoughts. After that, it takes to the mind. Then from the mind, he finally goes to the consciousness. You got it? So padipadiya kondupura. So consciousness is not talked about here because it is Nirguna Brahma Upasanam. He doesn't talk about it. He only talks about three upasanas. Adi Daivikam, Adhyatmam and Guna Upasana. So there's also talked about gunas also. Talks about it. So only three things are talked about here. This is actually for the beginner or the starting or the people who are just starting to do into the Vedantic study. And they want to be comfortable first before they go into Nirguna Brahma Upasana. This technique is prescribed here. Subject is already over. Topic is already over. Later on, the student comes and asks, is this all talked about? Upanishad he talks after all these things he talks about, he says, explain what is the Upanishad. He said, this is the Saramsa of the Upanishad, is what is explained here. So Adi Shankara sometimes understands that there are people in different types of category of people out there who need different types of teaching, different types of example to be more comfortable. That's what he says. Okay. Ma, you got all the meaning for your notes. So we'll stop the class here, and tomorrow we have this one class, Upadesh Sahasri tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I think tomorrow it should be okay. So tomorrow I'm not going to office tomorrow actually because the long holidays I'm not planning to go tomorrow. Nobody was there today.
Okay.
So tomorrow I will not go to the office. My mother-in-law is coming. They are coming for staying here. So I have to prepare.
Oh, they are in Sydney?
Yeah, my mother-in-law is in Sydney. They are with my brother-in-law sitting. They are here. So they are all going to Canberra for 1 or 2 weeks holidays. So they need to be taken care of. So they are coming here tomorrow. Kaparma by room lang clean money, ala money. I have to make them comfortable tomorrow. So tomorrow it will be a little bit hectic, but it will be okay. We'll manage. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste and Shubhratri to all of you.